Good evening, everybody. It's a little bit before 9 p.m. on 9/16/2023. It's Saturday, and I've got this little bug crawling across my keyboard. These criminals keep dumping bugs in my house. I mean, I don't even have any pets living in here, but I've got bugs. But I hope everybody is doing well today. It is actually raining. It's been raining for the last couple of hours, which is good because we needed it for sure. And the stream behind my house is flowing again. So this is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. I have a question for you guys. I really want you to give this some thought and think back. And I'm not talking about people who are of the belief that they have been targeted from birth. That's not going to be my question, okay? My question is not, do you think that you are targeted from birth, like everybody is targeted from birth? The question is posed to me by another subscriber, and I really had to give it some thought. And there is something to be said for the absolute possibility. So the question that was posed to me is, I wanted to ask you, are you aware of lifelong surveillance programs created by the usual suspects going back as far as the post-war years, like the late 1940s, 50s, and 60s? And he asked that if I was aware of a book or a webpage or a survivor story to let me know, because he was very interested to hear if there has been surveillance on the populations going back that far. And now this goes on to the next thought. The next thought is, he said, I don't want to upset or shock you in any way, but we, the watch-listed people, must entertain, no matter how unpleasant the notion is, the possibility of lifelong surveillance. And I'm not talking about being watch listed. I'm talking about surveillance, that it is possible that there has been something, someone, some agency set up to watch people from the time of their born, maybe even with the use of their birth chart, the use of their DNA, their heritage, their family of origin, and follow them throughout their lives, watching them. And then at some point in their life, when it is the most opportune time that you or I or anybody is set up to be placed on a watch list as a non-investigative subject or any other reason. So the question is, are you aware of any lifelong surveillance program created by the usual suspects going back as far as the late 40s, 50s, and 60s? And I would love to hear your thoughts on whether you believe that that's true, that it's very possible that there has been some surveillance system in place for decades, watching everybody, which leads us up to the point that we are now. Now, I remember back in the day, there was a song that, that's talking about the eye in the sky. I'm looking at you like I could read your mind. I think it was the Alan Parsons project or something like that, talking about the eye in the sky. Now, we're talking about, what was that, in the 70s? If anybody knows, I haven't looked it up, folks. So if anybody knows, please leave a comment down below, the year that song came out and the person who actually wrote it. But there have been a lot of songs in the past about watching and surveillance, etc. I mean, I just didn't even know about it, like back in the 60s. I obviously grew up in the 60s. The songs that I was listening to actually discussed surveillance in some way. So I didn't know it then. It didn't have that meaning for me, but it does now. So I'm curious what you have to say about this topic. I mean, this is kind of a very serious topic and something that you really might want to consider and think about and go back in time and also see if you think that you're targeted longer than you think. So that's one of the topics for today. There are also a couple of people that contacted me that they were not able to view the most recent videos that I posted, that they keep getting, you know, the little swirly thing, and that even like exiting out and going back in didn't help. I have no control over that, folks. I'm sure that in some way, some of what I'm doing is being shadow banned. And I really want to give a thank you to, I think it was Targeted Individuals Australia 4 years ago for locating the Newsbreak Part 1 and 2. I really appreciate it because I know that Ramola's channel on YouTube, I think it was removed or taken down, or she was having problems with it at one time, and I think she's back on there, but you know, all the stuff that she had before isn't there. So I really appreciate these two interviews because they were very early, or somewhat early on in my targeting, when I started to know that things were going on. And it's really important. And just as an FYI, those two videos, those interviews were on the same day, and they were broken up, and it was approximately January 2019. So it was after my medical kidnapping, so that the Manalapan Police Department could go into my house for the 40 minutes that they hung out on my driveway after I was gone. And I guess go into my computer or do all the other kinds of stuff that they were doing. Because I was really vigilant. After my house was broken into visibly several times, I took the necessary steps not only to change the locks, which of course they had keys to, but I ended up bolting closed my sliding door. So I actually had not just a dead bolt and a bar at the bottom, but I had a bar screwing into the top of the door frame. I also put window locks on my windows, and then my front door, I posted furniture in front of it. It was really a problem, you know. In the morning and at night, I'd have to move this piece of furniture that I had stuffed with heavy cat food cans. And then as far as my garage door, I didn't realize, and some people might know this about your garage door on the inside, if you've got a garage that's attached to your house, there are these pins on either side of the garage door that I wasn't aware of. I guess it depends on the kind of garage door you have. But you turn a knob and they screw into the metal framing of the garage door. So when I learned about that, that's what I was doing at night. So I was locking the garage door like that, pinning them closed. So it was going to be I made it very difficult for them to get in at night, the way they had been coming and going. So that's probably why the Manalapan Police Department had to set me up to get me out of the house so they could steal more information. Because that's what they do best. So now on to the other topic. I'm going to say a shout out to Chris, who sent me this article. And I'll read it to you. Okay, so here we go. $5.3 billion spent on directed energy weapons in 2022. Is the new age of climatic warfare here? This is an article dated September 15, 2023 at 4:43 p.m. And I'll read the article to you folks. Here it is. Okay, so here we go. Michelle Chasudovsky is an award-winning author, professor of economics emeritus at the University of Ottawa, founder and director of the Center for Research on Globalization, which is CRG, Montreal, and the founder and editor of Global Research. We have featured his work several times here on Health Impact News. And likewise, Professor Chasudowski has featured my work in the past on Global Research. Professor Chadwiowski has been covering the subject of energy weapons being developed by government sources for over 2 decades. Decades. That's 20 years, folks. 20 years. In 2007, he published an article on weather warfare in The Ecologist, where he used the term climatic warfare. He also has a Substack page now where he has recently published some articles on directed energy weapons, DEWs. He reports that DEWs are a $5.3 billion business in 2022, which is slated to increase to $12.9 billion by 2027. So DEWs are not a conspiracy theory. Ta-da! They are real. And billions of dollars are being spent on them, mostly by our United States government using American taxpayer funds. That's right, folks. Did you hear me? I'm going to say it again. They're spending billions of dollars, mostly by the U.S. government using American taxpayer funds, along with traditional defense contractors such as Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing, and many others who are developing DEWs. Big tech is becoming a major recipient of Defense Department contracts as well. And Elon Musk currently has the most satellites in orbit, many funded and used by the U.S. military and their new military branch of service, Space Force, started by Donald Trump during his term as U.S. president. Amazon.com has also been awarded billions in contracts to put hardware into space. This bug is driving me nuts, folks. It's like flying around here. I don't know what it is. Okay, so let's see. This is where the real danger lies with big tech, and not the AI type that they want people to believe, and that's now getting all the attention allegedly in Washington, D.C. When you constantly see Elon Musk's face appear in photos with heads of state, such as his alleged upcoming visit with Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, don't be fooled into believing that they're just talking about the dangers of AI presently to mankind or opening up the new Tesla plants. More than likely, directed energy weapons and the ongoing arms race in space is a hot topic on the ticket. And Elon Musk currently has the best products on the market for this, with thousands of satellites in his SpaceX company already in orbit. All right, let me scroll down here, see how much more to this article there is. Let me see. So, yes, this is in the Health Impact News. Health Impact News. So then it goes on to talk about weather warfare. Beware of U.S. military's experiments with climatic warfare. So it goes on and on and on. It talks about directed energy weapons. Just reiterating what we just discussed. So what I'll do is I will post a link to this article in the description section. And I'm going to post this right now. I hope everybody's doing well. And thank you, everybody, for listening to my testimonies. I look at myself there, and I look absolutely exhausted, drained. I was so nervous, actually, talking to Romola. It was like the first face-to-face, like through a Zoom, where I was discussing my situation. The other testimonies that I gave were just over the telephone. So, you know, to me, Romola was like a, you know, hero, big deal. You know, she's a really good journalist, and she's not afraid on discussing touchy subjects that other journalists won't approach. But I hope everybody's doing well, and I will talk to you soon.